Stewie. It's so great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many times a day are people still walking up to you and saying congrats?
I would have to say it's between like at least 5 and 10.
You're kidding. Still?
Yeah, still.
Wow, months later.
I mean, first championship ever in New York City. People are excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, what does that tell you about how long people have been waiting and how much people are paying attention too?
I think what it tells me is just how incredible this is and the fan base, especially behind the Liberty. I feel like it seems like it's only been a month since we've won, but we were really partying hard and celebrating with the entire city and still are.
Number 30, Breanna Stewart!
That ticker tape parade, that must have been unbelievable. And when you think of all the great like New York championship teams and legends who have done the same thing, what was that experience like?
The parade was crazy. I think that I didn't know what to expect. Like when they were like, we're gonna have a parade. I'm like, okay, in Brooklyn? And they're like, no, Manhattan. And then just going block by block, seeing the fans continue to show up, show out, scream. Like what was most impressive to me was all of the Liberty gear, you know, that they had on, because that's how you know that they're invested. They're real fans because they have the stuff, they come to games, they have the towels. Better atmosphere than the Macy's Day Parade for sure.
Oh yeah, well that was rainy. I gotta hand it to
a little
you,
bit wet.
you and your teammates. But that's like an iconic sort of like New York Thanksgiving thing. And I'm sure that you guys have just gradually, and you yourself felt more and more a part of this city and its history, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel happy to be back in New York as a upstate New York native, and to be able to be here for the championship, to bring the Liberty, the first one ever, but also to celebrate that at the Macy's Day Parade. Like I've always watched it growing up, being at my grandma's house, and I had to kind of tell grandma, like, please start Thanksgiving dinner a little bit later because I have to come up from the city after the parade.
And growing up in Syracuse, being a New York native, like how aware were you of the Liberty?
The Liberty was my first WNBA game that I went to at Madison Square Garden. Like I remember being a few rows back and looking at the players and just hoping to be in that position one day. And did I know that it would become full circle and I would be back at the Liberty? But actually on the court, no. But it's amazing to kind of think about just the way that it all happened.
Is there a player that you remember really liking or gravitating towards when you were young?
When I was younger, I mean, I think the players that I definitely paid attention to were like Lisa, Candace, Dee. Not to be like aging them, but obviously, you know, to be able to watch them and then play against them in the league has been an incredible thing for me, just because those are players that I look up to, and same as the person that they are.
I mean, you said after you won the title that this is something that you had manifested. It wasn't easy though, right? What was the most challenging part for you personally, winning this championship?
I think the most challenging part for me winning this championship was just like the grind behind it all. And Courtney Vandersloot and I kind of really tried to talk to the team about like the mental and physical toll that it takes on your body to like win a championship, because there's so many highs and lows throughout quarters and games and day-to-days. But just continuing to fight through that, you know, knowing that the regular season we did well in the quarters, got past Vegas in the semis, and then Minnie to have to come back home for game 5, like that's where you want to win it.
Right.
So for us to be able to do that, it was just like history in the making.
Because you lost it on your court the year before to the Aces.
Yeah.
So how much do you remember that feeling? Like, is that something that fuels you as a player?
Yeah, I definitely remember that feeling, losing to Vegas in game 4 at New York. It hurt, you know, it was gut-wrenching, and really having a scar, you know, just from the way, even that the way the last play went down, and making sure that wasn't going to happen this year. We're going to do it for our franchise, our fans, and the city.
I was at that game, and I've been at a lot of
Which one?
Which
that
one? Game 4.
The loss? Okay.
Yeah, no, I was there, and I was at game 1,
yes,
also
yes.
in the finals. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be going to that. And also a regular season games. It was just
hopefully we won.
It was incredibly experience. Yes, you won the others. It was so cool to gradually, and it has been cool to see the crowd. Right, which has always been there, which has been amazing in all different ages and loyal fans. But then we have this like whole celebrity element,
I know.
Right? Like
Celebrity
it used to be
row,
for the Knicks
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like to have the, Fat Joe and Jason Sudeikis and Aubrey Plaza and on and on
Yeah.
there?
I mean, I feel like, from Jason's perspective, he's like a regular now.
Yeah. Lives in Brooklyn, walks over.
Brooklyn,
there you
walks
go,
to the games,
right.
but not only, like you said, for the 17,000 fans to be there, but knowing that people want to come. You have these A-list celebrities coming in and being a part of the fun and the excitement, and it really is like an experience, the game. There's basketball being played, but there's like dancing and there's Ellie and there's all these things for you to pay attention to and have fun. One thing that was incredible for us is Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Her coming, but her making the intro video for the playoffs, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then next thing you know, she's in our locker room and we're just all singing together.
Oh, really?
Empire
so
State
you guys
of
were
Mind.
singing Empire State of Mind? No.
Yeah.
That's just surreal. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And what a summer when you think about, oh, by the way, there was an Olympic gold medal like plopped in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about a grind, that must have been wild. What was it like to play for a championship? And by the way, really tight game in the final game against France. And then you're coming back and you're contending for a championship in the WNBA.
Olympic years are the hardest for WNBA players because especially now we play 40-game season, add the Commissioner Cup, add the All-Star game, and then a pause for the Olympics where we're still playing games, and then you come back and jump right into it and to try and finish your regular season and get to a great standing situation for the playoffs. It's just like a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. When you think about it, I'm like, it's a lot.
But what'd you do this summer? Well, I won a couple of championships.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, did it get you in a competitive mode? Because you had to be in that hyper competitive mode in Paris, and then you had to come back and do it again. Did it make it easier or harder to gear up?
I mean, honestly, I think going to the Olympics kind of gave me a little bit of a break from the liberty, from the WNBA, that we probably all needed. So then when we came back together, it was excitement, ready to go, ready to finish the season strong. And yeah, of course, winning a gold medal makes you have those winning feelings to want to continue to do it.
Wow, and you're doing all of this with 2 little kids. I mean, wow. So Ruby is 3.
Ruby's 3.
And Teo is 1. And he seems to be all into everything.
Yes.
He's at that age,
he's
right?
He's like a tornado. He goes through the living room and the toy room and stuff is just everywhere. Everywhere. If he can't open something, he just throws it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just get ready, right? What was it like to be able to celebrate? I mean, you've won 2 titles before, but this time your family, Marta was with you and the kids were with you. It was such a cool scene. What was that like to be able to share these accomplishments with them?
Yeah, to be able to have my family, Marta, Ruby, Teo, all be there. To be a part of this championship was something that was really special because it's the first time that they're seeing me win a WNBA championship, and I'm not sure if Teo will remember, but hopefully Ruby will remember some things, and we'll be able to look back and just look at the pictures and see how special of a moment it was.
What does Ruby say about how aware is she of what mom does?
Yeah. Anytime we drive past Barclays, she's like, "Mommy, your basketball."
Oh.
You're basketball. Not the gym, not basketball.
Right. Well, she goes to the games with like her little earphones on. She's so cute.
Yeah, and Ruby thinks that her and Ellie are like besties. So.
Oh.
Anytime she sees Ellie, she's like, "Oh, let's hold hands. We're friends."
I think a lot of people feel that way about Ellie, but that is absolutely adorable. Yeah. How do you balance being a professional athlete with having 2 little kids and just everything you have going on?
Yeah, it's a little tough to balance being a toddler parent at the same time, but to be able to just be present, like be where my feet are, and definitely want to be able to do that without Marta. You know, like when I go to the gym, I want to be focused on what I can do for myself and the team and how we can be better, and then when I'm home, like with my family and trying to just switch things on and off, but you get used to the sleep deprivation, like you get used to that and you just continue to keep going. So it's just a mom strength, you know? Yeah.
It is superpower.
Yeah.
I call it a superpower. Yeah. On that note of just like being able to balance family and basketball, in your case, you and Nafisha Collier are spearheading this incredible league called Unrivaled, which is so interesting on so many layers. How is it different than other leagues that have come along?
Yeah, Unrivaled is different than any other league that's ever came along because not only do we have the top talent, but we're playing full court 3-on-3.
That's like a 70-foot court?
Yeah, 70-foot court,
right?
70, a little bit smaller than a full length.
Right, okay.
And we're able to, you know, play together for 10 weeks. We have the same team. So like my team is the Mist and I'm Go Mist.
The Mist!
That's who we're going to be cheering for here.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. And just an opportunity for players to stay home, you know, to be in a different market than any other WNBA team, and to continue to build a fan base, but also build your brand. I think that's what I'm most excited about because this is an opportunity we've never had before.
I mean, you have attracted all the best players in the WNBA. They all want to do this. Why do you think this is such a great option for them, particularly because it allows them to play in the States in the off season?
I think this is the best option for players now because, you know, you go overseas, and like I was a part of that cycle where you play WNBA, you go overseas, same, WNBA overseas, and you know, what you miss is family. You miss holidays, you miss like being home and being present. So now you're able to do that and you're able to make probably more money than you would overseas. And it's making sure that you have a break, that we have the right staff to make sure that everybody's prepped and ready, but also if you need more, if you need, I don't know, treatment or whatever, at Unrivaled, we're going to have the access to everything that we need.
You have all of these really interesting investors. Everybody from like Ashton Kutcher to, I mean, Carmelo Anthony to, you've got players from other sports, Mia Hamm, Michelle Wee West. Why do you think that this league in particular, is it derivative of just the popularity of women's basketball? Why do you think that so many people from sort of other worlds are investing in Unrivaled?
I think the people are investing in Unrivaled because they see the potential, and you know, it's the way that it's quickly growing and grasping people's attention before we even play is something that's incredibly special. And you know, now we're in this moment where people are continuing to appreciate the product. And
as a business investment.
Yeah. But also like women's basketball. You know, it's been a long time coming to get to the point that where we are, and you know, knowing that we don't want to have a 7-month drought where you don't watch WNBA, and this is how we can put all the best players together and you can continue watching it.
And it has the highest average salary of any professional women's league in the United States. How do you hope that financial commitment and what that says affects other leagues, WNBA included?
Yeah, I think that I hope that our salary at Unrivaled is only going to continue to uplift the salaries of other leagues, and especially the WNBA. You know that we've opted out of the CBA, and we'll be in those negotiations very, very soon for the 2026 season. And
What's your perspective on that, on what needs to happen?
Well, I mean, I think that from the Players Association, like we're making the right decision to opt out. Obviously, with a huge TV deal coming into play, the way that the ratings and the numbers and the eyes are only continuing to grow for the sport, and just continuing to make it better. Know that this is a business, and we're never going to be satisfied with making our sport better for the players now, but also the players to come.
How much pride do you take in the growth of the league? The league is expanding. There's an expansion draft happening, which is wild. Yeah. And there's going to be another one, next 2 more teams crazy. Coming in next year.
I think the growth of the league is really exciting. I think that there's so many things that I don't know about with what happens when you add another team and in the expansion draft, so I can't wait to watch and see what happens. I have no idea who will get picked. It's got to be a difficult job. But it's an excitement, it's a buzz. It's like, all right, well, if I don't know, then other people don't know. And, they want to learn more about the team that's coming to the Bay Area.
You say that this has been a long time coming, and it has. Winning the 4 titles that you won in your 4 years at UConn and that dynasty, how much of what's happening today in women's basketball do you think you can trace back to what UConn was able to do?
Yeah, I hope a lot. I think that what's interesting is when you look back to my 4 years and we won 4 in a row, everyone was like, it's boring. It's boring to watch UConn win all the time. Well, now UConn hasn't won in a while. And you guys aren't saying it's boring. So I think that, the parity between teams and the level has only increased. And I think that that's something that's really, really special. But I am really hoping that this is going to be the year that UConn can bring it back and get that championship back on the table.
Well, you're investing in Paige Bueckers. I think it's really interesting that Unrivaled has offered Paige an NIL deal. So she is now going to play in Unrivaled in 2026. That's such a fascinating pathway. What does that say sort of about the business philosophy of Unrivaled and also the way that women's basketball is going at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I mean, I think that investing in Paige is never going to be a wrong choice, and I'm really excited to have her be a part of Unrivaled. Whether it's from afar while she's still playing, or in 2026 when she's in the league and hanging with the big dogs over here. But
the big dogs, I like it.
But I think that the landscape of NIL is wild, a lot. Like there's a lot going on, but there is a business behind it, and it is continuing to bring different people to the sport, and I think that that's something that's really exciting.
Yeah, and it's really cool that as a professional league that Unrivaled decided to get into that game, because that's a whole nother talent pool that potentially you could be looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, Paige is the first, but hopefully we'll have even more NIL athletes to come.
Okay, we got to give Geno his props while we're here. I mean, winningest.
You want to go first because it'll mean more from you.
I know that I sat courtside at some of your games, and you had to tell me not to wear Notre Dame gear, and you got really mad at me, and I wasn't allowed to cheer for the Irish, but congratulations, I love you. I think he's an amazing human being. He's got an incredible personal story, but the fact that he is the winningest collegiate basketball coach of all time, I mean, besides longevity, what does that say about him? How is he such a special coach?
Yeah, Coach Auriemma is the greatest. And, I've known it, but now to be the all-time winningest coach in collegiate history is something that's actually insane. And I'm really happy for him because, sometimes he gets discredited or, a lot of opinions here and there, but you can't discredit greatness. And that's really it. Like all the national championships, all the players that have gone through that program, we wouldn't be where we are without him.